the past, British food may have had a reputation problem, but look closer and you'll find a thriving world of small producers making incredible things. This series celebrates those unsung heroes, showing how their craft brings better flavour, a healthier environment and economy, and a richer food culture for all of us. Now, I might have been partial to the odd beer over the years, and I particularly like a local beer, but I've never really thought about how that beer landed up in the pint glass. So in this episode, I'm visiting Bays Brewery to find out how the small producer does it. Hello, Will.
At long last, David.
How you doing?
Very well.
Thank you for inviting us down.
Hey, no problem, thank you.
So where are we? We're in South Devon?
We're in South Devon. We're literally stood outside Bays Brewery. You can see some of our pump clips here. We've been here for almost 18 and a half years we've been brewing here. So we haven't moved sites. We're bursting at the gunnels. You can see the container and barrels all over the place. But yeah, this is where Bays started, and
I can see some familiar things from some of the pubs
Yep.
I've frequented over the years.
Yeah.
Take us inside and show us around.
yeah, absolutely. Come in. So we've got Simon here who's opening up some bags of the one you see here is Warminster. So Warminster are our local maltings. So they're not too far down the road, and they source all their their barley from the West Country. Do you know anything about the malting process?
Enlighten me.
Enlighten you. So barley is harvested. It then has a dormancy period, so it's just kept in large warehouses where it just sits for a month or two. The maltster will then take it. He will run some checks on it. When it's ready to go, they will then steep it. So they will put it in these big tanks, soak it in water. Being a traditional floor maltings, they then spread it out over these large malting floors. And what the maltster's trying to do is get the barley to partially germinate. So over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, the roots will come out, and then there's a little plumule that will come out. And it's at that stage, the skilled maltster will then stop the process of germination. They will then take it off the floor, put it into a kiln and dry it out. The process of this partial germination creates enzymes. So it's these enzymes that we're interested in, because what they're going to do is they're going to convert the starches that's contained in the barley into fermentable sugars. This is it. So you can see you're welcome to try a little bit. It's all fresh from Warminster, this one. So now your mouth is acting a little bit like a mash tun. So you're getting a bit of sweetness and you've sort of the malty flavour coming out. So it's this...
A little bit like cereal. Well, it is cereal, isn't it, I guess?
It is cereal, yeah. So it's what you're seeing is the white section of this, which is where the starches are. Your mouth has got amylase enzymes in, which is starting to react with those starches and starting to make them into sugars, which is where you'll start picking up a little bit of sweetness.
There is sweetness, yeah.
So this is your natural enzyme in your mouth. And what you're seeing here is Simon's adding something called crystal malt, which is a slightly more modified barley. So this one's been roasted longer, because you can see the colour difference. So every brew we do, we generally add extra barleys to add colour, to add flavour. So we're adding this crystal malt. That's going to give us probably make us a golden ale as opposed to a blonde beer. If we were going to add more of this, obviously then we'll get into more of a brownie coloured beer. But if I open up another bag here, which I think is this one here, if we were going to try and make a stout, we would be using roasted barley. If you're daring and you want to try a little bit, you'll see what the roasting process does to the flavour. This is your morning coffee.
Yeah, like coffee.
It is like coffee, isn't it?
Yeah. Bitter.
Yeah.
And,
so I didn't make you a coffee, did I?
You didn't. That'll do. Dark and nutty and bitter. Yeah.
Bitter. Yeah. So again, when you're making a stout, we don't make stouts here. We have made a stout in the past. They seem quite tricky to sell in the West Country, and you're always up against Guinness. So it's very hard to get a Guinness drinker to drink anything different. So
So tell us a little bit about we've got the hops here now, and you can smell it. This smells like like a beer as soon as you open the bottle. What exactly is going on with this?
So here we have a like I say, this is one single hop cone, which is a flower of a female hop plant. It's these hops that add a lot of magic to our beers. So again, we've got about probably 200 different hops that we can pick from. In the brewery itself, we probably use about 15 different sorts of hops. I say sorts, they're all the same, 99.9%, but they actually, the hop oils that are contained in each hop vary massively. Not only will they add bitterness to the beer, which is obviously quite important, but they also, when they're infused, much like a tea bag, they're going to impart this sort of quaffable part of the beer. So there's lovely tropical smells and fruity smells. So yeah, hops have a dual purpose. We add them at various stages. So we add them at 2 or 3 stages in the boil. We can also add them into the fermenter later on. So that's a process called dry hopping. And you can also add to cask as well. So potentially a beer could be what we say quadruply hopped. So we could hop it at 4 different times in the process, depending on how intense we want that hop flavour to be.
And all beers will have some hops
Yep.
or more hops.
So
and you get that hoppy, obviously people talk about that hoppy flavour.
Yeah.
And then maybe a darker beer has got less.
Less, correct, yeah, well done. Yeah, we're learning, aren't we? But most of our beers, we will combine 2 or 3 different hops, and it's this combination that makes beers unique. And it's those sort of, that's the sort of slightly secret part of brewing is, we're quite happy to tell you what hops we use, but what quantity we use and when is obviously where the magic is. As brewers, what we like to do is do this thing called a rub and a sniff. So what we are trying to do here is release some of these oils. You can see my hands changing from normal hand colour to...
Okay, yeah.
And if you don't mind smelling my hands.
Oh, it's so strong.
It's
like fresh grass on a spring day or something.
So as brewers, this is what we do on a yearly basis. We'll go up and meet our hop merchant. They'll lay out a load of samples, and we will do this rub and a sniff. And it's getting used to this. And you're thinking, I love the smell of that one. And I know that's going to work really well with the. Simon's just weighing out one called Sarts here. So the combination of these 2 hops probably will work really, really well. And it's just Sarts is a lot more. It's a Czech hop. It makes a very nice. It's a noble hop, so it makes these very subtle, grassy flavours in the beer. And then with that, we beef this one up with one called First Gold, which is a English hedgerow variety of hops. So it's a combination that makes these beers unique.
And so those byproducts, the hops that we were just talking about, and some of the other things that you've got here, what do you do with those? You were talking about how you're kind of managing to use a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, again, this is one of the things I love about the brewing process. There's nothing really wasted. So even once we've extracted all the sugars from the grains are then put into containers, and then we have 2 local farmers that come in and take those, and they get fed to cattle. Yeast, we make a bit more yeast than we actually need for the following week. So we're always trying to get rid of a bit of yeast, but more recently we've been using Langage Farm, which is just down the road, and we put the yeast into IBC containers. They take it, and then it gets fed into their anaerobic digester. So that then is converted into heat, which then produces power, and that runs their dairy farm.
Will then took me downstairs past a heady mix of heat and sweet malty aromas to see the next phase of the brewing process. Like so many of the stories in this series, when I looked around, it was all being run by just a handful of people, all hands-on, with an unmistakable passion for what they were doing.
So the tank you see here is our mash tun. There's a tube we've added which directs the dried grist, as we like to call it. We're running in hot water about 70 degrees, and the resulting mash, so a bit like a porridge, should be at about 65 degrees. And this is the temperature that we require to get these enzymes hydrolyzed and excited, and they'll start rushing around and start chopping up these starches into sugars. So the whole process, once it's mashed in, will take about an hour to convert all the starch that was in the barley that we saw up there into fermentable sugars. So what we've got here...
This smells more like a brewery now. This is the bit that I'm kind of familiar with in terms of that. Yeah.
So this is the lovely malty aromas that's coming off our wort. So this is our malt extract that's coming out of our mash tun as we speak.
Go on then, let's give it a try.
So this is Bays Gold, but this is Bays Gold at the very, very start of its life. Tell me what you think of that.
Quite hot, is it?
It's warm, yeah, it's warm, but not too warm.
Oh, that's unbelievably sweet.
It's amazingly sweet, isn't it?
And that's I mean, it's just, I mean, it's malty, isn't it? That's the smell.
Yeah.
Oh, I could almost just drink that before bed at night. It's Ovaltine essentially, isn't
exactly it? That, yeah. So that's what's been busy going on in the mash tun.
Wow.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So tell us what this room is and what's going on here.
Okay, so we're in our fermenting room. We've got 7 fermenters in here. Each fermenter will hold a batch of beer. They're about, so a batch of beer for us is about 3,400 litres, which will make about 6,000 pints, something like that. This is where a lot of the magic happens. So this is where all our flavoured wort, so we've added hops to our malt extract, which we've then boiled, and then we've then cooled down. We've added yeast to the tank. And it's the yeast that will then start converting all the sugars that we talked about earlier into alcohol, water, and CO2. Every yeast kind of likes it likes to be looked after in a certain way. So this is what part of the brewer's skill is working with a yeast and knowing exactly what it likes and dislikes. And I like a clear beer. I like to be able to see my fingers through a beer. So to achieve this, we've got to add something that's going to clarify the beer. Because there's yeast in there, because it's a real ale, it's natural, it's living, this yeast will stay in suspension. To pull it out of suspension, we use fining. So finings has a very strong positive charge. That will then bind with the yeast that's in there, forming a heavy flock, and that will end up at the bottom of the cask. And the way the tap's designed is you'll pull the clear beer from above the sort of flock that's on the bottom. So what's left in a cask at the end is what's called your slop. So that's a mixture of finings and yeast.
You were one of the founders of here, of Baze back in 2007, is that right?
2007, yeah.
What made you think that it was a good idea to come and start Baze?
So at the time, I was working for the same chap in Truro, this guy called Steve Skinner. He ran Skinner's Brewery in Truro. I had been brewing there for sort of 4 or 5 years. I had married a girl from Paynton. I kept coming back here for various family events, and it was the conversations with her 2 brothers, Mark and Pete Salmon. We ended up on a bit of a pub crawl, and before we knew it, we all had shaken hands almost, about 19 years ago to this day, actually. And we decided to start a brewery. And this is where Baze was born. Like I say, we've been brewing now for sort of 18 and a half years, and we haven't looked back.
And you had to sell your house to get it started, is that right?
Yeah. Well, you've got to make some sort of commitment. But I've always wanted to be involved in my own business, and there's no easy way of starting a brewery unless you've got some fun. So yeah, selling. We had done quite well in Cornwall on our house, so we sold up, released a bit of capital, and went in with, like I say, my wife's 2 brothers, and the rest is history, really.